Lots of level. 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2 3 4 5 1 2 oh no 1 2 3 4 5 1 2 3 4 5 1 2 3 4 5 Harley test 1 2 3 4 5 1 2 3 4 5 1 2 3 4 5 VK3 CSJ testing hello test 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2 where's it level testing hello test 1 2 3 4 5 1 2 3 4 5 4 5 4 5 hello 4 5 mute that 1 2 3 4 5 VK3 CSJ testing. Please stand by for the ASV broadcast at 10 o'clock on 3541 kilohertz in the 80 meter amateur radio band. We're just doing a bit of a quick test here. We are streaming on Discord and streaming on YouTube and by the Melbourne television repeater, but I'll say that all again in just a short moment. VK3 CSJ testing test concluded. Oops. Good evening. This is VK3 Echo Kilo Hotel, VK3 EKH, the official station of the Astronomical Society of Victoria with the regular Friday night broadcast, coming to you from the studios of VK3 CSJ in Narre Warren South, broadcasting on prime frequency of 3541 kilohertz in the 80 meter amateur radio band, and also streaming to the internet on the Discord HD channel and also on the YouTube channel, my YouTube channel. On YouTube, just type in VK3 CSJ and look for the live indicator, and hopefully there won't be any problems with the internet falling over. Discord is probably a better venue to go to in respect to the delay. If you haven't registered with Discord, just visit the Discord website and register. Registering for the first time should be reasonably straightforward. Once that has happened, then go to my qrz.com page, either for VK3CSJ or VK3EKH, and I provide a kind of a universal link that allows you to go straight to the ASV chat room, and which also incorporates the HD stream, which I'm paying $14 a month for. So it's really good if you can utilize the Discord HD stream to see the vision, because the delay between what you're hearing on 80 meters, for example, and on Discord is less than a second. Far better than the 20-second delay that YouTube offers. But if you can tolerate that, then that's okay. And of course, the advantage with YouTube is that it's being recorded for future prosperity. And there's a whole lot of my ASV broadcasts sitting on YouTube, which I should go back and delete at some point in time, because there's no point in them sitting there and wasting up space. Nevertheless, we are also broadcasting via the Melbourne television repeater, VK3RTV. I'm glad to say that the repeater is back up and running again. Not that it was not working, but the uplink connection on 1246 that I operate on was a little bit dodgy, and thanks to Peter Cousins, VK3BFG, and Richard, VK3VRS, they got up there last Saturday and found the dodgy cable. So we're back to good signals into RTV. So if you have the access to viewing the Melbourne television repeater, you can switch on your set-top boxes and go looking for it, because I'm there as well. And if you're interested to be able to receive VK3RTV, may I recommend that you visit Amateur Radio Victoria, ARV, Amateur Radio Victoria. They have a dedicated page on how to view RTV. There are any number of set-top boxes, little black boxes, anywhere between $40 to $90, $100 that you can get off various sites. It must be DVB-T2 for HD, and capable, of course, of being able to enter the frequency 445.5, which is the transmission of the repeater. Just a little over 100 watts, DVB-T2, and vertical polarized on 445.5, coming to you from Mount View, which is the Border Works tower just behind the police academy, and the transmitting antenna is mounted right at the top of the tower for maximum range capability. Phased verticals, folded dipoles that are being used in a kind of a cloverleaf pattern over Melbourne. So if you're down in Geelong or in Ballarat or down at Tooradin or even in the other side of Mount Dandenong, it's possible to receive the TV repeater on 445.5. Just get yourself a set-top box. I believe that the BATC feed is now working also, so somebody might like to check that. The British Amateur Television Club's video stream. The repeater has always had a link to the video streaming service on BATC, but hasn't been working in recent times, and but I believe that is now up and running. I haven't checked, but I believe it's up and running. So the other option that you have is to go to the British Amateur Television Club, BATC, go check out the video server or streamer, I think they call it, and look for VK3RTV for ATV repeaters that are on air or online, and RTV1 should be sitting there with my unshaved face on the screen as well. So yes, apologies for the not the shaver, because today was an RDO for me, a rostered day off, so I don't shave if I'm not going to work. Simple as that. All right. Okay, we've got a few things tonight. We've got a solar report from Tamitha Scove, our space weather woman. 12-minute report from her, which was released just a day ago. So it covers all this weekend, what she has to say. And so I'll be putting that across hopefully in a few moments or two or three. Meanwhile, we shall just do the usual blurb for those stations that are tuning in for the first time, or shortwave listeners that might be tuning in for the first time. We do have an email address if you wish to send a signal report to me, vk3ekh@gmail.com, vk3ekh@gmail.com, which I will look at in a short moment or two or three or four. Otherwise, the usual blurb that I read out here, and I really should make a recording of this just so that it's a bit more professional perhaps. The Astronomical Society of Victoria, and I'm putting this on the mixer here, shouldn't do that. The Astronomical Society of Victoria was founded in 1922. It comprises well over 1,800 members throughout Victoria, Australia and overseas. Membership of the Society is open to all persons with an interest in astronomy. The Society's objectives are to encourage the study and practice of astronomy, to disseminate the knowledge of the science and to provide greater facilities for the study among its members. Monthly meetings are usually held on the second Wednesday of each month, except in January, with the latter being held on a Saturday night. Meetings start at 8 p.m. at the Mullier Hall, Burwood Avenue, Melbourne, near the Melbourne Observatory, which is located adjacent to the Shrine of Remembrance. Meetings are also live streamed to those who cannot attend on the ASV's Facebook page and also on ASV's YouTube channel. Parking is available in Burwood Avenue, Dallas Brooks Drive and the surrounding streets. Admission is free and visitors are most welcome. The meetings start at 8 p.m. as mentioned, but aim to finish at 10 p.m. on the noggin. Cups of tea and coffee are available with the odd 2 or 3 bickies. Privileges of membership include the right to borrow books, periodicals and other publications from the Society's extensive library located at Melbourne Observatory, receipt of the ASV magazine Crux containing articles, news, observing notes and the like, and the free provision of the Astronomical Yearbook. Access is available to telescopes on members' nights held regularly at the Melbourne Observatory and after the monthly meetings, weather permitting. These instruments include the Society's 300mm equatorial reflector and a 300mm portable reflector. There's also a 200mm refractor managed by the Royal Botanic Gardens, and a recently restored photoheliograph are also housed at the observatory and are accessible to members as well. The Society also has a number of 200mm reflectors available for short period loan through the ASV's telescope loan scheme. A member can gain practical experience in use of one or of these telescopes before deciding whether they want to buy one of their own. Regular Society meetings are held at the Morley Community Village at Bignell Road in Bentley East. Members are encouraged to use the Society's instruments located there in order to gain first-hand experience in telescope use. Members are also encouraged to make use of the Society's country property located near Heathcote, some 90-minute drive north of Melbourne. It provides dark sky suitable for astrophotography. There is a range of instruments available for members to use, the large two only with appropriate training, which range from 300mm to 1000mm in aperture. Also located on the site is a 8.5 metre radio steerable telescope, which members can access with involvement in the radio astronomy section. Members are encouraged to make and use telescopes. Advice and help on both matters are provided willingly to newcomers desiring to do the same. Instrument making is only one of the several common interest activities catered for within the Society. Other areas of interest that members can participate in include deep sky observing, astrophotography, lunar and planetary observing, auroral, meteor, comet, radio astronomy, computing, cosmology and astrophysics, historical studies and research and astronomy in general. Contact details for various section directors can be found in the ASV's or on the ASV's website. Further information may be obtained by visiting the ASV's website, and notifications of events are given in Crux Extra bulletins, which are sent out via email to members every other week. Please note that the ASV will conform to any government health directives, that thus ASV events may be required to be cancelled, moved or postponed. If you wish to write a letter to the ASV, the mailing address is, or what you would write on the envelope, is the Secretary, Astronomical Society of Victoria, GPO Box 1059, Melbourne, Victoria 3001. The Secretary of the Astronomical Society of Victoria, GPO Box 1059, Melbourne, Victoria 3001. And the website is www.asv.org.au, www.asv.org.au for more information on the ASV. The website is quite full of information there with the various tabs across the top of the screen. And I think all you would need to know is and who to contact is available on those on the website, which is this one here. I've just put up on the screen. That's live off the internet as I speak, and there's the little bit of advertising for my Friday night broadcast just there. But that's the homepage for the ASV with a revolving banner going on. So there's a whole bunch of tabs just there that you can click on and explore the website. Membership is via PayPal, so it's all fairly straightforward. All right, now I'm hoping the audio level is okay. It looks like I'm peaking a little bit on the output there, so I'll just knock that back a bit so it's YouTube doesn't suffer. I think that's a bit better where it is now. All right. Let me just check my Discord and see who's sitting there. We've got Andrew VK3KIS, Steve VK3SBX, and Mike. G'day Mike, VK3XL, all watching me on the Discord. Chat room. What's happening in the chat room? I'll just have a quick look at that. Cassiopeia. G'day Cassiopeia. We got Stephen VK3TTF. Howdy doody. And Steve says I'm just 5 or 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I won't whistle because it might upset the modem. Yeah, I'm not running a whole lot of power there. I'm keeping things sort of down, so apologies if the signal on 80 meters isn't my best. I usually run a linear 400 watts easy, so but unfortunately the modem likes to fall over, so I've got to be careful of that. Sorry about that, chaps. It's a work in progress as far as I'm concerned on that one. But anyway, like I say, the 3 video channels that I'm running are quite okay at the moment, at least. All right, now the first thing I was going to do is because it is the first of the month, as in like the beginning of July, 4th of July it is, in fact. I usually receive, I normally receive sky notes from Dr. Tanya Hill, the resident astronomer at the planetarium, Science Works, and she has done that. In fact, I might be able to just bring up a little image here of Tanya, so you can see what she looks like as I go through the notes. There she is, and this is Tanya, and I should be able to bring up a little bit. Well, there I am. It's a bit. Oh, that's what I'll leave it there. All right, sky notes. Now, upcoming events, July 2025. Just a little bit of a plug for the planetarium. There's something called I think it's every Friday night. It's called Planetarium Nights. After hours for adults on Fridays, with the bar open, enjoy a changing program of science and art house films in full dome format. So be interesting to sit in on one of those one Friday night. There's also a special event at the Melbourne Museum on Saturday the 23rd of August. It's titled The Future of Space. What kind of civilization are we taking into space? Whose values, knowledge and stories will mould the new places we build? So that's called The Future of Space. And I think they've got a guest speaker there from what I can tell. Not sure who that might be though. And then on the 31st of July, there's something called Discover the Night Sky. Discover the Wonders of the Universe with astronomer Dr. Tanya Hill. So, clever girl. All right, just getting into the sky notes for this month coming up. We'll shoot through these fairly quickly, hopefully. It's aphelion time. In its elliptical orbit, Earth reaches its annual furthest point from the Sun, or the aphelion, I think that's how you pronounce that, this month on Friday the 4th of July. On that date, it will be 5 million kilometres more distant than its closest point, the perihelion, which occurred in January. Our planet's slightly elliptical orbit principally results from the gravitational influence of our large moon. And while Earth may be slightly closer to the Sun at the aphelion and a little further at the perihelion, the variation in solar radiation we receive is negligible compared to the effect of Earth's tilt axis that drives the seasonal extremes of winter or summer. The difference from perihelion to aphelion is only a 3% change in the Sun's apparent diameter as observed from the Earth. And we do have a picture of that difference. I do have an image here, but I didn't transfer it across. Oh my goodness, there's always one image I don't put into vMix, but I did download it, so it should be just here under my ASV pictures thing. There it is. So I just bring it across to vMix, as simple as doing a few clear clicks, and here it is on the screen right now. Good grief. Alright, so in that image on the screen right there now, you see the difference between the perihelion to the aphelion. And it's a very subtle difference in the actual physical size that we can measure of the Sun there. As Tanya says, it's only a 3% change in the Sun's apparent diameter as observed from Earth, seen clearly in the composite image here by Ian Griffith in this astronomy picture of the day, APOD, for January 9, 2020. Our planet's orbital speed, how fast it moves, varies as well. It averages 29.78 kilometres a second, but its elliptical path means it moves a little slower at the aphelion, around 29.29 kilometres a second, and a little faster at perihelion, at 30.29 kilometres a second. When the spacecraft are launched to other bodies in the solar system, or if a gravity assist slingshot by Earth or a sample return mission is planned, the Earth's varying orbital speed must be accounted for. So there we are. So we are travelling at 29.78 kilometres a second in general. It's pretty fast. It's hard to imagine that, really. All right, getting back to the sky notes, and let me just change the picture on the screen here back to Tanya. Why not? Melbourne Sun Times. On Tuesday the 1st of July, the sun rose at 7:36 a.m, setting at 5:11 p.m, with an average day of 9:35 hours. By Friday the 11th of July, the sunrise will be at 7:34 a.m, setting at 5:17 p.m, with the day extending to 9 hours 42. Then by Monday the 31st of July, sunrise will be at 7:29 a.m, setting at 5:24 p.m, with the day length being 9 hours 55 minutes. And by the end of July, Thursday the 31st, sunrise will be at 7:21 a.m, setting at 5:32 p.m, with the day length being 10 hours and 11 minutes. So our days are progressively getting a bit longer. Moon phases. The first quarter is Thursday the 3rd. There's a full moon on Friday the 11th. The third quarter phase on Friday the 18th. And then there'll be a new moon on Friday the 25th of July. The moon distances. The lunar perigee, or closest to the Earth, is on Sunday the 20th at 368,041 kilometres. Then the lunar apogee, furthest from the Earth, is on Saturday the 5th of July at 404,627 kilometres, which is tomorrow. Planets. Mercury is an evening planet, seen from 5:50 p.m, a disk in the northwest before setting around 7:15 p.m. Excuse me. So, as I say, when it comes to this time of the year, if you believe that you'd never be able to see Mercury because it's the closest planet to the Sun, there are times where the Earth's orbit in relation to Mercury's orbit allows us to see Mercury above the horizon after sunset, and conversely above the horizon before sunrise, and that's about as much as you'll get to see it. But Mercury, like I said, Mercury is an evening planet from 5:50 p.m. So if it's a clear sky to the west, look out to the northwest before the setting around 7:15. But by mid-month it will be too close to the Sun as it moves to the inferior solar conjunction, passing in front of the Sun. Venus continues to be the morning star. Boy, isn't it ever. It is really a bright object in the morning at the moment, from 4:20 a.m. in the east and then northeast before being lost to the dawn light by 7:15 a.m. It will appear a little earlier each morning during the month. Mars remains visible from 6 p.m. in the northwest at twilight, but will set by 9:40 p.m, but will be seen a little earlier each evening until by late July from as early as 6 p.m. Jupiter is too close to the Sun for most of this month, as it has passed behind the Sun for its solar conjunction. However, by the end of July it will appear again in the early dawn sky from 5:45 p.m. in the northeast. Saturn remains a mostly morning object in the nighttime skies, rising from midnight in the east, moving across the north and fading by 7 a.m. as dawn in the northwest. It will appear a little earlier each night, so that by the end of the month it will rise from around 11:30 p.m. Elongations and conjunctions. For the inner planets, Mercury and Venus, as viewed from Earth, there is a angular separation in our skies between them and the Sun. This is called their elongation, as their position is elongated away from the Sun. At greatest elongation, they appear furthest from the Sun. However, when behind the Sun, there is no elongation, and they are at superior conjunction or cojoined with the Sun. When they pass in front of the Sun, that inferior conjunction, and as daytime objects, they are not visible and are again conjoined with the Sun. Wow. So find out more. There's on Sky Notes. Tanya provides 4 links about finding out more about Earth Sky Astronomy Essentials on elongation and conjunction, and Swinburne Cosmos and NASA Terrestrial Planets. 4 links there that she provides on that. Meteors. This month we have no strong meteor showers, but on the 27th to the 30th, the southern Delta Aquarids should be visible in the constellation of Aquarius, the water bearer high in the north. The meteors will radiate from the near Scat or Delta Aquarii, the fourth brightest star in the constellation of Aquarius. The best time to look is a few hours before dawn, when perhaps 20 meteors per hour could be seen. Stars and constellations. In the west, if we look towards the west, Kansas a major, and Sirius, the brightest of the nighttime stars, is much closer, or much lower, I should say, this month in the west. If we look towards the north, high in the north is Virgo and the star Spica, while Leo is in the northwest, recognizable by its upside down hook pattern of stars with the star Regulus. The head of Leo also forms the sickle, a pattern known to many peoples around the world. If we turn our chairs to the east, Scorpius rises much higher in the southeast, and with the red giant star Antares easily seen even from areas with city lights. Below, and now fully revealed, is the centaur archer Sagittarius, whose bow and arrow forms the famous asterism the teapot. Through the constellation of Sagittarius lies the center of the galaxy and its supermassive black hole known as Sagittarius A, imaged in 2019 by the International Collaboration Event Horizon Telescope, or EHT, with results released in 2022. In the south, the Southern Cross, or Crux, is high up directly south, and to the left are the pointers Alpha and Beta Centauri, which mark the front hooves of the other celestial centaur. The billions of distant stars and numerous dark dust clouds of the Milky Way forms a broad band across the evening sky from east to west, which gradually wheels to south to north as the Earth rotates during the night. From our southern perspective, we enjoy a superb view of the galaxy, quite different to the most northern hemisphere locations. Easy to see in the southwest are the intriguing irregular-shaped neighbouring galaxies, the large and small clouds of Magellan, which are special features of the southern sky. Visible are the bright stars Canopus in the southwest and Echina closer to the horizon in the south. The International Space Station orbits every 90 minutes at an average distance of 400 kilometres, appearing like a bright star moving slowly across the night sky. And here are some of the brightest passes expected this month over Melbourne and central Victoria. On Tuesday evening, the 1st, been and gone, it's already, but anyway, they say here Tuesday on the 1st of July, there was a passing at 6:51 to 6:54 p.m. On Wednesday, the 2nd of July, been and gone, of course, there was a passing at 6 o'clock through to 6:09. So they were the evening passes. In the morning, however, there is a passing on Wednesday, the 16th of July. If you go outside and look up in the west-northwest to the southeast, at around 6:34 a.m. there will be a passing there, 16th of July, 6:34 a.m. to 6:44 a.m. And then on Thursday morning, 17th of July, the very next morning, there's a passing at 5:48 a.m. to 5:52 a.m. coming in from the north-northwest to the southeast. And we always make mention of the Heavens Above website. Heavensabove.com gives predictions for visible passes of space stations and major satellites, live sky views and 3D visualizations. Be sure to first enter your location under the configuration file or tab, so the predictions are more accurate to your location. But that's heavensabove.com. It's quite a great website. It has all the celestial location and satellites and amateur satellites as well. Okay, at 28 minutes to 11, it's amazing how quick this half hour has gone. There's a few dates here. I'll just scoot through some of them, not all of them though. On this day, on the 1st of July 1770, closest pass to Earth by any known comet was Comet Lexell at 2.2 million kilometres, roughly 5.5 times the moon distance. That was Comet Lexell. On the 4th of July, in the year 1054, Chinese and other astronomers witnessed the supernova explosion that produced the Crab Nebula 6,500 light years away. Also on the 4th of July 2005, Deep Impact probe by the USA crashes into Comet Tempel 1 to analyse its composition. Also on the 4th of July 1868, the birth of Henrietta Swan Leavitt, who established the luminosity period relationship of Cepheid variable stars, allowing Edwin Hubble to show nebula were other galaxies beyond our own. On the 5th of July 1687, Isaac Newton's Mathematical Principles of Natural Philosophy is published, laying the groundwork for much of modern science. On the 7th of July 1959, Venus' diameter is determined and its atmosphere analysed by its occultation of the star Regulus in Leo. That's interesting. It's interesting how they do that. On the 8th of July 2011, the Space Shuttle Atlantis USA is launched on the final mission for the shuttle program. On the 10th of July 1962, the first communications satellite Telstar USA is launched as an experiment in transatlantic communication. Right, and on the 11th of July 1979, Skylab 1 by the USA is destroyed during a re-entry over Western Australia and scatters debris over a wide area. Excuse me. On the 14th of on the 14th of July 1965, Mariner 4 makes the first controlled flyby of Mars and returns the first close-up images of the planet. One more date. On the 15th of July 1975, Apollo-Soyuz test project mission occurs. An American Apollo module with 3 astronauts launched with the first Saturn rocket, and a Soviet Soyuz craft with 2 cosmonauts rendezvous and dock in Earth orbit. And there's a whole bunch of other dates, but I'll leave that till next week if I remember. You're tuned to ASV Radio, VK3 Echo Kilo Hotel, the official station of the Astronomical Society of Victoria, with the regular Friday night broadcast coming to you from the studios of VK3CSJ in Narre Warren South. Keeping an eye on the time here already, because I'm slowly running out. I won't worry about that. On the 3rd of July, I'll bring this picture up while I'm talking about this. It's a black and white picture, monochrome. On the 3rd of July 2004, the death of Andrian Nikolaev, Russian of course. Today in the history of astronomy, one of Russia's Vanguard 6 passes away. And that's a picture there. It says here, captioned, in addition to his record-setting space endurance exploits, Adrian Nikolov was well known for marrying fellow cosmonaut Valentina Tereshkov in 1963. They divorced in 1982. So marriages never last. There's a brief thing here. Space race pioneer Adrian Grigorievich Nikolov died July 3rd, 2004 in Cheboksary, Russia. Even among the first group of Soviet cosmonauts selected, he was considered elite, a member of the Vanguard 6 chosen for the Vostok missions. His career included piloting Vostok 3 in August 1962, which became the first instance of two crewed spacecraft simultaneously in space when Vostok 4 was launched a day later. Vostok 3 flight also set an endurance record, orbiting the Earth 64 times over 96 hours. Nikolov later crewed the Soyuz 9 mission in June 1970, in addition to establishing another space endurance record of nearly 18 days. The mission highlighted the necessity of in-flight exercise for long-duration spaceflight when the Soyuz 9 cosmonauts skipped their planned exercise because they were preoccupied with other research. The prolonged time in microgravity took a toll, causing bone and muscle atrophy. Upon their return, Nikolov and fellow crew member Vitaly Svestasnov took days to reacclimate and experienced significant physical weakness. Today, astronauts follow strict exercise regimes to avoid similar effects. Nikolov also married first woman in space, Valentina Tereshkov, in 1963, as mentioned before, and participated in a goodwill tour of the US in 1970, building up early US-Soviet space cooperation. So there he is, passed away yesterday. Okay, back to VMix, back to me. You're tuned to ASV Radio, VK3 Echo Kilo Hotel, the official station of the Astronomical Society of Victoria. Here's another quick one. July 2, 1967, the discovery of GRBs. Today in the history of astronomy, as in July 2, satellites Vela 3 and 4 make the first detection of gamma-ray bursts. And here is a picture of what they looked like. The article is nice and brief. On July 2, 1967, the US Vela 3 and 4 satellites originally launched to monitor compliance with Nuclear Test Ban Treaty by detecting weapon tests, accidentally detected fast and powerful flashes of high-energy protons, or gamma rays, from space. These events were later identified as gamma-ray bursts, GRBs. In a 1973 paper by Los Alamos scientists led by Ray Klebestedel, the Vela observations were the first detection of this phenomena, and at the time their origin was debated. Were they from within our solar system, or outside our galaxy, Eventually, understanding evolved, particularly after the 1996 launch of the Italian-Dutch Beposax satellite, which could rapidly locate GRB's source, allowing astronomers to observe its afterglow and measure its redshifts. Subsequent research established that these bursts were extragalactic and extremely powerful, emitting energy comparable to supernova in seconds and appearing billions of times brighter than our sun. Righto. And this next article, let me just check the length of that. Yeah, all right, I might leave that till next week. Okay. On June 30, oops, let me change the picture. Where are we? There we are. Sorry. June 30, 1908, the Tunguska impact. Today in the history of astronomy, an asteroid flattens 830 square miles in the Siberian forest. And the picture on the screen there is the Tunguska impact. It flattened hundreds of miles of forest and devastated local wildlife. But the remoteness of the region kept it from being a mass casualty event. Enormous explosion occurred approximately 3.8 to 9.7 kilometers above the Tunguska River area of Siberia on June 30, 1908, when an asteroid entered the Earth's atmosphere and exploded in an airburst. This event, known as the Tunguska event, unleashed an estimated energy equivalent to and up to 15 megatons of TNT, with a powerful shockwave that flattened trees for approximately 2,150 square kilometers around. Thanks to the remoteness of the area, human fatalities were low. Some sources say no people died, while others say 2 or 3, though the event did devastate reindeer populations. Local reindeer herders who were eyewitness described a brilliant flash, a fireball, and a thunderous explosion, intense ground tremors, a hot wind, and even being thrown into the air. The impact is a touch point in discussion of the potential threat of near-Earth asteroids and the need for planetary defense, and lead to the recognition of June 30 as the International Asteroid Year. June 30 as the International Asteroid Day, I should say. All right, back to me. And at this point in time, I think I might queue up Tanya Hill's latest solar report. So stand by for Tanya. I'll just queue up her little video here somewhere. There it is. And we'll see how this runs. I'm just going to have to turn gains down everywhere because I know the levels are wrong with where this video lies. So stand by while we do this. This is VK3EKH. Stand by for Tim for the Scove.
We have a solar storm false alarm, some fast solar wind on the menu, and big solar flares may be returning. Those stories and more are in the news this week. If you want to learn how weather from our star causes impacts at the Earth that shape the future of our world, join Professors Dr. Jenny Meehan, Michael Cook, and myself as we guide you through a space weather certificate program like no other. To enroll in the Space Weather and Environment Science program offered at Millersville University, go to millersville.edu/SWEN. It's weather for the 21st century. This forecast also sponsored in part by CW Ops. Space weather this week is definitely keeping us on our toes. As we take a look at our Earth-facing disk, keep your eyes on region 4126 because you'll see this flare, pow, right there. Did you see that? You might have even seen a little teeny tiny dimming region right there. Well, believe it or not, this region launched an earthward directed solar storm. But sadly, because you just don't see much going on here, well, it really wasn't that big a solar storm at all. In fact, it's been hitting Earth over the past 24 hours, and did you notice? Yeah, I didn't think so. So sadly, region 4126 kind of gave us a false alarm. So you aurora photographers, don't worry, you didn't miss anything. There really wasn't much aurora to begin with. But we might get another chance as we talk about that coronal hole here in just a minute. Now, meanwhile, take a look at these gorgeous filaments. They launch here on the 29th, right there, whoosh and whoosh. We'll get a much better view of those as we take a look from stereo's point of view. But these are part of that long set of filaments that we talked about last week that made the sun look like a piece of art. Well, obviously it's still going, and that gorgeous symmetry from the northern to the southern hemisphere is still hanging in there. We call this conjugacy, and it tells us a lot about our solar dynamo, that magnetic dynamo that really keeps the space weather machine continuing to roll. Now, as we look at that coronal hole, Well, sadly, the top part of the northern boundary of this coronal hole is pretty high latitude in the south, so we may not be getting as much fast solar wind from this coronal hole as we'd like as it rotates through the Earth strike zone here over the next few days. I'm not expecting to get too much down at mid-latitudes, but we'll talk more about that in the 5-day. However, we might see a little bit more as this coronal hole has this finger that kind of comes up to the equatorial region. So we might see a little burst of that, but we're going to have to wait likely another week or so to see that. Now, taking a look at our active regions, boy, the disk is covered with them, but sadly, all of them are pretty quiet right now. There are a few more that have been rotating into Earth view, and you've been noticing, if you're an amateur radio operator, you've been noticing some of that solar flux kind of creeping up and possibly the noise creeping up on the bands. But region 4132, which I thought might be a bigger flare player, has kind of been pretty quiet thus far. So we haven't seen any big solar flares. Now, we do have a couple regions rotating into Earth view from the far side here, and that'll happen over the next few days. You can even see a kind of a red ring here. This is actually part of a big long filament that we'll talk a little bit about. It likely will erupt before it rotates fully into view. We'll see. But there are some regions that it's connected to that actually might bring us some more a bigger amount of activity here, probably starting around next week. So right now, we're just basically looking at this big coronal hole here to give us some fast solar wind, but not much more to report. We do have a few filaments. You probably saw that one that just lifted off right there. We just haven't had much in the way of Earth-directed solar storms, so we're just going to have to wait a little bit longer. Now, as we switch to our far-sighted sun, this is stereo A. We're back to using stereo A imagery because stereo A is now looking at the far side of the sun, a little bit ahead of Earth. So you can see here's Earth, here's the sun, and here's stereo A looking at the sun kind of from the side. And you can watch, here's region 4126. You can watch this region, should get you calibrated. Here's a nice filament that we're still waiting to see if it erupts. But you can watch these gorgeous long filaments. Remember the ones I told you about? Well, there they are. Watch them launch. Look, whoosh, what a beautiful display that is. And also keep your eyes on region 4126. This region, as it's rotated to the sun's far side, continues to grow. So we're seeing it be more and more active. So we'll definitely be waiting for this one to rotate back into Earth view because it could be a big flare player. It likely will be a big flare player on the far side of the sun. So we'll have to see what happens here in the next few days. Thank goodness for Solar Orbiter. Now, speaking of Solar Orbiter, we're switching to our full sun map, which uses SDO AIA imagery to show you the front side of the sun and Solar Orbiter EUI imagery to show us the far side here in blue. And as I set that map in motion, you can see the west limb, we have a little bit of a wraparound. So you'll see the east limb come here and the west limb disappearing on this side. But hopefully this will calibrate you. Here's region 4126 as it began to emerge on the disk. You'll see it emerging right here. And then also you can see some of the regions that we've left behind. Now, what I want to show you let's focus on the sun's far side because this is the east limb. This is where everything's going to be rotating into Earth view here over the next few days. We have region 4132 that is already rotated into Earth view, but region 4116, along with the new region just below 4114 and 4115, you can see it here. These are the regions to watch. We also have a filament. It's kind of hard to see, but as it gets closer to the limb, you can kind of see this little bit of a filament here that tries to lift off. And so that's what we're looking at right past region 4116, and we're going to keep an eye on, so both this region and this region here might be bigger flare players. They're reasonably new regions and they show signs of growth. This one is firing moderate sized flares on the far side right now. So expect, if you're an amateur radio operator, expect the noise on the bands to continue to rise. Right now, not seeing a big chance for R1 to R2 level radio blackouts, but that could change here over the next 24 hours or definitely over probably the next 4 days. We're going to see a rise. And then possibly things will calm down a little bit because we have to wait until we see all of these regions rotate back into Earth view. So amateur radio operators and emergency responders, expect the noise to rise. That doesn't necessarily mean we're going to be seeing big solar flares yet, but you never know. And now stepping outside to take a look at our current conditions with our global geochron map, we take a look at the ovation. This is basically getting us an idea of what the aurora has been like over the past 24 hours. As you can see, it's been pretty low. This is because that solar storm that has been hitting Earth really has been very mild. So if you're an aurora photographer in the southern hemisphere, well, maybe if you were in Australia or Tasmania, New Zealand, Maybe you got a glint, maybe a glow over the horizon, but there really hasn't been all that much. Sorry about the clouds here, though, so you probably didn't see much at all. However, these might change as we get that fast solar wind hitting. Now, as we switch to our ROTI, which is the scintillation risk for high frequencies like GPS and GNSS services, well, we have seen a little bit of disturbance more in the higher latitudes because we have had just a little bit of aurora. Also on the night side, so it's been a little bit active, but it really hasn't been all that bad for you. And that should actually continue here over the next couple days. And now, as we're talking about the DRAP, now this goes down to VHF and HF range. So you amateur radio operators, you are seeing a little bit more activity in the DRAP. So the noise floor is beginning to rise on the day side of Earth. But overall, things are still sitting between, the frequencies in which you're getting hit are anywhere up to about 10 megahertz. It's really not too bad. So overall, you should be enjoying some decent DX right now, and likely that will continue over the next few days. Now, switching to our moon, we are now passing through the first quarter on our way to a full moon, with a full moon being on the 10th. So you night sky watchers, if you want to catch those dim objects in the sky, like, I don't know, maybe some aurora, if there is any to be caught during this fast solar wind that will be coming, well, you're going to have this bright companion. So you're going to need to check your local rise and set times. And now switching to our solar storm conditions and aurora possibilities over the coming week, we are anticipating some fast solar wind to be hitting us here over the next couple days. At high latitudes, NOAA's expecting, they're expecting active conditions, but I'm thinking it's only going to be unsettled to active conditions. I'm really not sure we're going to get to a minor storm level, but we could have about a 45% chance. So aurora photographers, if you're at high latitudes in the southern hemisphere, you might get a chance to chase, but things will be settling down as we move into the 6th and the 7th. Now at mid-latitudes, we're only expecting unsettled conditions, but we do have up to about a 10% chance of a minor storm. Again, likely not a big deal for aurora photographers because I think that fast solar wind is just going to be too low, too far south for us to actually get impacted by it. But if you're dedicated, it might be worth a look. And now switching to our solar flare and dayside radio blackout outlook over the coming week, we are still sitting in the triple digits for our solar flux. We're at the 130 to about 135, but we are only dealing with minor noise on the bands right now, and that's because none of the big flare players are really big flare players. They're just active regions kind of popping off little stuff. NOAA's giving about a 15% chance of R1 to R2 level radio blackouts, but these are M-class flares, and only about a 1% chance of X-class flares at the R3 level radio blackout. That's going to be easily over the next couple days. I'll rise that just a little bit up to about 20% because we are getting those new regions that are going to be rotating into Earth view here over the next 3 to 4 days, and that could raise our chances for bigger solar flares. But likely keeping it down still at minor noise range because we're just not expecting to see a whole bunch. We don't see any big X-flare players. So amateur radio operators and emergency responders, enjoy this. I know it's field day in the UK here over this next weekend, so enjoy the quiet. And now switching to our radiation storm and polar aviation outlook over the coming week, we are all in the green this week. We are sitting at the D1 normal range. This is at flight level 360 for you aviators. It's also the S0 quiet range for everyone else. NOAA's only giving us about a 1% chance of an S1 to S2 radiation storm over the next 3 days, and I have extended that out to the 5-day because we just don't see any real big risk for radiation storms right now. So you aviators, and this does include flight crew and you high-risk passengers, well, it looks like everything is in the green and it's going to stay that way. So you can rest easy. You're all in the clear. So the space weather this week has given us a little bit of some false alarms. We do have an Earth-directed solar storm that's hitting us now, and it's not really giving us all that much. But we do have some fast solar wind that is on its way. So aurora photographers, if you're at high latitudes, you might get a bit of a show. It could last easily over the 4th and the 5th before things calm down. Not expecting all that much, and I know it's only the southern hemisphere folks that might get a chance. So wherever you have clear skies, it might be worth a look to your southern horizon. And now amateur radio operators and emergency responders, well, the noise on the bands is beginning to rise just a little bit, but we don't have any big risks for R1 to R2 level radio blackouts right now, and definitely no risks for big solar flares at the R3 level radio blackout. So you folks in the UK who are doing your field day, you should be all happy there because you should get some decent contacts. And now you GPS users, well, we're going to have maybe some mild storming on the night side, but it shouldn't be all that bad. And on the day side, well, we've got some pretty decent quiet. We don't have some big radio blackouts to worry about. So overall, as long as you stay away from aurora and you're vigilant during dawn and during dusk, your GPS reception should be pretty top-notch. I'm Tamitha Skov, the Space Weather Woman. Thank you for watching.
Okay. Thank you, Tamitha, for another excellent update on the latest things to do with our sun. All right, I think I'm okay there. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Right, I noticed in adjusting levels that my power on 80 meters was in fact low. I had adjusted the power setting to about 70 watts for some reason. I think I was playing around on 160 last weekend, so I've wound that up flat out. So I should be back to my normal signal levels on 80 meters. It's an FTDX 9000D I'm running, which is a 200 watt PA, and if I whistle I know I can get up to 200, but if I whistle I might upset the modem, so I won't whistle. All right. Anyway, so I hope you found that report from Tamitha all very good. Thanks. There's a few people that have sent emails in on VK3EKH. So Ian, VK5KKT reports 5 and 9 into 2 wells. Its signal's probably improved just now. Stephen reports a weaker signal on 80 meters as well, but that should have improved as well. YouTube is apparently good, and BATC is also 100% okay. Thanks, Stevo, and all very good on that one. And g'day, John De Kaiser, who's one of the members of the Astronomical Society of Victoria, who's listening on the YouTube side as well. All right, minimise that screen. Coming up to 11 o'clock, I'm just going to go straight into the spaceweather.com website. And just as a kind of a follow-up from Tamitha, if I can just go back to my vMix, this is the disk of the sun. If we could look at the sun right now, that is the layout of sunspots on the disk of the sun facing us at this point in time. There's several sunspots there. According to spaceweather.com, the solar wind is currently at 356.3 kilometers a second at a density of 2.18 protons per cubic centimeter. The current sunspot number is 118. The radio sun, measured at a wavelength at 10.7 centimeters flux, is 125 solar flux units. The aurora over Antarctica is looking a bit like this at the moment. So there is some auroral activity, but not significant enough to be able to be seeing anything in our skies here on the mainland, but most likely in southern Tasmania, I would suggest. I'm just going to up that level a little bit more. And the coronal hole on the sun is there, which Tamitha was referring to, a region that spawns high-energy particles that are apparently heading our way, but won't cause too much significance in the scheme of things. And what else is there on this? I can go to, it says here that a CME, as Tanya said, a CME is about to hit Venus, apparently. Yesterday, the sun hurled a CME, coronal mass ejection, straight towards Venus. A NASA model predicts it will strike on the 4th of July. The impact will erode a small amount of Venus's atmosphere, but there is still plenty left, they say here. Now, another interesting article, spaceweather.com always has something different to talk about. There's an interstellar comet, which is referred to as Atlas, I think. Interstellar comet Atlas, the Minor Planet Center, has confirmed that 3I Atlas is a comet, and with an orbital eccentricity greater than 6. It definitely comes from another star. This makes it only the third known interstellar object to pass through our solar system. Last night, Austrian astrophotographer Michael Jaeger, I'm not sure the pronunciation of that, photographed it as a faint pinprick gliding among the stars, which is this image here. I think this is it. Yep. There we go. Just loop that. So you can see the object in the center of that field. So all the stars are moving, and it's actually it's a combination of things going on here, but you can actually see the comet amongst the background or foreground objects. The comet is currently around magnitude 18, but could brighten to 12 later in the year, says Nick James of the British Astronomical Association. It should be observed with amateur equipment for the next year or so. What an amazing opportunity to observe a visitor from another star system. October 2025 will be particularly interesting. The comet is on course for a close encounter with Mars at the same time. It will be near its maximum brightness. Because the comet comes from outside our solar system, it could behave differently than local comets, brightening much more or much less than expected. Previously, interstellar objects like the Oumuamua in 2017 and comet Borisov in 2019 caused a sensation among astronomers, but 3I Atlas should do the same, they reckon. Observers who wish to track the comet can find its orbit and orbital data in a link on the spaceweather.com site. Right. So that's rather interesting. If I can get my observatory up and running with a telescope pointing to the skies, that might be of some interest. But this is in the northern hemisphere. I don't know what how the visibility would be like in the southern hemisphere. That's a different kettle of fish. All right, just trying to find my video camera. All right. And the last thing is, as of July 4, 2025, there were 2,349 potentially hazardous asteroids, but none of the asteroids are on a collision course with Earth. There's an entire list of these near-Earth asteroids on the spaceweather.com site, but like I say, none of them are on an actual collision course, so there's nothing to worry about. Okay, I think that's about it. The articles I left off today, there's how a signal from a 60-year-old satellite baffled astronomers for over a year. Radio telescopes saw a strange burst of unknown energy in June 2024. Now we know it was from Relay 2, a derelict early telecommunications satellite. That was one article I'll leave for next week. The other article was to do with it's official. NASA confirms new interstellar object is zooming through our solar system. I think that's the same one I'm just referring to. Maybe not, I don't know. And there was one other article too I was going to refer to. In fact, I mentioned this last week, I think. A record-sized comet seen belching jets from its surface is heading our way. An absolutely gigantic comet is currently barreling into the inner solar system at a full steam. and we mean that more literally. Astronomers have now detected big outbursts of carbon monoxide belching from its surface. Comet C 2014 C/2014 UN 271. Which is from the largest from the Oort cloud comet ever detected, about 137 kilometres wide. Anyway, I think I mentioned that last week, but I could leave that till next week as well. All right, on that note, we shall conclude tonight's broadcast. I hope you found something of interest amongst Tanya Hill's Sky Notes and everything else that's amongst all that. All right, what we'll do now is go across to 3541 kilohertz and see if there's any stations wishing to check in for tonight's session. VK3 EKH listening. Oh, the wrong one. Okay, VK3 Delta X-ray and VK3 SBX. Was there anybody else? Gee, it's been light on these last couple of weeks, hasn't it? All right, have a say, Greg. VK3 Delta X-ray, VK3 EKH.
Good evening, Clint. And you could say that, but I think probably some of them have probably gone north for the winter, mate. It's certainly been colder, and I can't think down here tonight, but I can't believe that it feels a lot colder. Very interesting broadcast from each evening to, I think it's the other station there. Your signal was way down earlier on, and then you corrected it, and now you're above the 9 where you normally are there, Clint. Not as strong as normal, but you're well up there. But anyway, you explained the situation. So it was a little bit noisier tonight for some reason. Yeah, I was thinking, some of these asteroids that have hit the planet over the years, and, there hasn't been any big ones of recent times. Sort of start wondering, but I think we'll be well informed when they're heading our way there, Clint, from what I can gather. Let's hope so anyway, and they'll be able to do something about it before it gets them. I've been sort of wondering about that from time to time. Wonder how the cats are. Sam's listening on the FST on the other system. I can't think what it's called. But anyway, he couldn't hear nothing on the RF side. I go to you, Quentin. Thanks for on the net, mate. You do a great job every week, and we appreciate it. VK3EKH. VK3 Delta X-ray. Greg Audible.
Yeah, g'day, Greg. VK3DX, VK3EKH. And you're about 10, 15 over 9, and you're just coming up to 20 over 9 just towards the end there. Yeah, all right. No, apologies for running the low signal. I was transmitting. I wish I could get my icon boxes back up and running, at least one of them, the Pro 3 IC756 Pro 3. If I can just get one of those back up and running again, that icon box did much better for me when it came to operating on 80 meters, particularly from the audio side of it too. So, but I need to fiddle with the 9000 here to get certain parameters set a bit better than they are. I keep saying that every Friday, but as soon as I walk away from this desk, I leave all the problems until another time. Anyway, asteroids are a particularly interesting bunch. There's a whole lot of debris that's flying around in space. It's the James Webb Space Telescope's already been hit by a meteoroid or a micrometeorite. It's one of the mirrors has been damaged, but it hasn't. That hasn't overly affected its performance, of course. But it just goes to show that this telescope, optical telescope, infrared optical telescope, if you can say that in the same sentence, is vulnerable to the amount of debris that's flying around in space. So, but we can only hope that the Earth's defense systems that are on the constant look for objects in space will be able to see. But I mean, even over the last couple of years, there's been near Earth misses. These objects that hadn't been seen before or detected have suddenly come into our view only with a couple of days' notice. So it is a bit tricky to keep an eye out there. Anyway, that's another story. What else was there? Yeah, well, as Timothy said, there's the band noise on the emitter bands is likely to be a little bit on the increase this weekend. So the bit of noise there that we're getting right now might be related to the solar noise to some degree, even though the sun is below the horizon here. Anyway, that's another story. All right, thanks, Greg. And I think you're right. I think most people have moved to the warmer climate. There's always a bunch of folks that leave Melbourne to go to Queensland, for instance. But it's also the footy. I know that Friday night football can grab a few people off and watch that as well. Poor old Carlton didn't do very good tonight again. So anyway, that's another story. All right. Thanks, Greg. Across to you there, Steve. VK3SBX, VK3EKH.
Turned off the football this year. No good. Yes, because I down the dumps again, so no good. Interesting about the impact on James Reed, as you say, because it's got many segmented mirror, hasn't it? I wonder what would happen if a meteorite or a micrometeorite hits Hubble, which I think is the one, right? I think it's in the wrong place. So, Hubble is its way out there, isn't it? So, but anyway, I was reminded of this conductor event. So when I was a kid, I seem to remember that still being a mystery. And maybe it was just trying to cover things up and normally covered everything up. My recollection is that it wasn't really well known what had caused it, and there were possibility of it being a nuclear accident or something is a possibility. Of course, we know better now, but it's not all that clear all that time ago. I actually listened to you on Discord today, Cliff, because as I said, you were only about 5'9" early on, and you're now about 5'9" plus 10. Still not as high as usual, I think, as Greg just mentioned, but that'll do it, I think, Clint. Hope you get your gear up and running sometime soon, and we'll see you again next week.
Yeah, thanks, Steve. VK3SBX, VK3EKH returning. Yes, I heard of the Tunguska explosion when I was a teenager, reading stories about UFOs and stuff like that. And the Tunguska was an interesting one in those circles. And Carl Sagan in Cosmos talks about the Tunguska explosion too at some point. And of course, it's kind of because there was no evidence left on the ground except for the flattened forest. That's where it's been determined that this fireball that entered the Earth's atmosphere, it was probably a ball of ice, just a solid ball of ice that when it finally exploded in the upper atmosphere, there was just enough shockwave. And we've seen that now. We've seen meteorite that entered the atmosphere over Russia. The pure shock wave of this object entering the atmosphere was enough to shatter windows and force roller doors inwards. It was an amazing video of that footage. So you can imagine an object that was far larger, that had a more of a direct impact down towards Earth, but they believe it was just a ball of ice, because there was no evidence. There's been no debris, no fragments of this meteor that's ever been found. So it was just pure shockwave that created this complete flattening of the forest, and of course all the trees were falling all in the same direction. So it gave them a pretty good idea of how this pressure wave was forming. So fortunately it occurred in an area that wasn't heavily populated. So it's likely to happen again, that sort of thing. It's very likely to happen again, and this time it will be over an area where part of the population will probably be affected by it to some degree. Anyway, but that's it. It happened this week. I think, what was it, the 30th of July, I think it was. Where's that article again? Tunguska. Where was it? Here, 30th, June 30. So that was last Sunday, I think. June 30 was last Monday, in fact. Last Monday, the Monday this week, 1908 was when that occurred. Yes, fascinating stuff. I've ordered some due heating equipment for the telescope, for the Celestron. It's still on its way here, but when I was out till 4 o'clock a few weekends ago and was constantly fighting the buildup of moisture on the lens of the telescope, I realised that I needed to get some due heating equipment. So I've ordered a little heating strip that is designed to wrap around the front of the telescope. It has a USB plug on it, so it just simply warms to some degree the aperture lens, and a dew shield as well, an appropriate Celestron dew shield. A lot of dollars for that. But I managed to find one of those, because what I like about the dedicated dew shield is that it has electrical connections on the base, so that if you use a camera, if you fit a camera on the front of the telescope, all the wiring can be channeled through the side of the dew shield, rather than drag it out over the top. So it's a proper dew shield. So I'm hoping to get that fitted to the front of the telescope, which will make it look really big. But I'm hoping that the combination of a little heating element and the dew shield will prevent any build-up of mist on the front of the telescope. So that's coming up soon. But I'm still waiting on the pier from Sidereal Trading, the 600mm pier. So it's just waiting. Anyway, in the meantime, I'm doing some gardening. I've been outside all day today, collecting a whole lot of garden debris, and I've got a little fire that's burning out there to get rid of some of this stuff. So I smell like a fire right now. Anyway, enough of that. All right, cheers, Steve, Greg, anybody else that's been listening. I note on the Discord that there was another station, Sam. He's disappeared now. But there was somebody by the name Sam. He might be on the chat room. Let's have a quick look at the chat room. Cassiopeia says, great broadcasts, and have you got any photos of your rig and observatory? Oh, you haven't seen that, Nebs, I'll send you some pictures of the observatory as it is right now. And you say rig, I assume you're referring to the telescope setup. Yeah, well, I can show you. I've got the Celestron in there on its tripod, but I can show you that picture. Anyway, all right, good to see a few people there. Stephen, VK32TF, g'day, mate. And no worries. All right, cool stuff. And I think that was it. I've already addressed email. There's been no further emails. Okay, on that note, this is VK3EKH, VK3CSJ on the microphone, concluding transmissions for tonight. Thanks, guys, for listening and tuning in. And we'll be back next Friday with more interesting articles, more complicated people's surnames that I trip over all the time. I tell you, some of these people's surnames, I don't know why they are so complicated in pronouncing. It really is it just beggars belief why people have such complicated names. You know, John Smith, perfect. Anyway, cheers everyone. Take care. VK, have a nice weekend. VK3EKH, Clem. Yeah, thanks, Greg. No problems at all. Was that you, Steve? VK3HK? Oh, I see. Well, you've done well. We'll allow you now to go to bed.
Thank you. You can do the same. Oh no, sorry. You're not going to retire until about 3 o'clock in the morning, are you?
Probably. I'm actually a little bit keen to put the return on the movie that we were talking about at the coffee break net today.
Oh, don't watch that. You know, it goes for 2 hours. Save it till tomorrow.
Yeah, maybe you're right. Yeah, I think you might be right, actually. I mean, I could do it easily enough. Actually, what I'll do is I'll find out which streaming service has got it. Either Foxtel or one of the others, and I'll put a tick on it for the wish list or whatever they call it. And yeah, you're right. I'll come back to it tomorrow night. Yeah, see, I'm yawning. I'm tired. I can see I'm already tired. Oh, sorry. So you're quite right. I will not do that. Oh dear. Anyway, yeah, so there's 2 returned movies, ladies and gentlemen. There's a return that deals with The Return, that deals with alien abduction, and that's actually not a bad film in a way. And then there's The Return, which deals with some Greek, is it Greek history or something else? I can't remember now what you were saying about it, but it's intriguing anyway. That was close.
And the final 15 minutes of it, absolutely extraordinary. It's going to blow your mind. This on. Well, we don't give out that sort of information for Western Victorians. Excuse me. Sorry, Clint, I was not listening at all tonight. I've been doing other things. I have recorded the whole night. I'm a 7300 recorder here, so I'll listen to it tomorrow. So I just thought I'd let you know so that your efforts were not in vain.
Yeah, no worries, Brett. That's fine by me. Thank goodness for YouTube in recording it. Like I said at the beginning, I know that YouTube records all this stuff, and there's a whole lot of stuff I need to delete and clear off the YouTube channel. So I shall do that. I'm just looking at the on Wikipedia this film, The Return, 2024. So it's quite a current film. The Return is a 2024 drama film directed by Uberto Pasolini, and starring Ralph Fiennes, who I know fairly well. The film is a retelling of the last sections of Homer Odyssey, as adapted by Edward Bond and a few others. I just need a very succinct synopsis, but I can't see it. Not in a hurry, anyway. Anyway, all right, looks interesting. Yeah. Trojan Wars. Odysseus washes up naked. 20 years fighting, returning to the war, scarred mentally and physically by his experiences. Odysseus. Yeah. All right, I'll take up tomorrow night and be thoroughly entertained, I am sure. Right. Anyway, all right, just reading Wikipedia on that. Yeah, so The Return. It's called The Return, a 2024 film. You shall find out what streaming services actually got it. Foxtel's probably got it, so we'll see. Anyway, thanks, Steve. VK3HK and VK3AOB in there somewhere. VK3CSJ. Yep. Oops, wrong button. Yeah, go ahead, Steve.
Yeah, hi, Cliff. Yeah, I don't know if you just froze or my computer went all funny. The picture stopped, but now I can't even exit Discord. Might be me. Anyway, I'm just going to comment on your dew things there. So I've got a dew heater and the dew shield. Although I think I just cut a hole on the side of mine, poke the wires out. But there is a couple of things I thought I'd add too, and because when the gobs aren't smiling in cold weather and what have you, even with the dew heater in the dew suit, sometimes it's not enough. Go to bed,
Righto.
my cholesterol, which cures the problem almost completely. Tiny little bed, like 1 inch diameter bed that have a little 3D printed shroud that blows the air down on the face of the corrector plate, which works like a charm. So something maybe there for the future. And the other trick, if you have the camera in the front, like the Pakistan, is a trick to putting the cabling across the face of the correct plate in just the correct way, so you don't get any diffraction of the cable. And when you get to it one day, you can have a look at that trick. Anyway, good to hear you going, Cliff. We'll see you next week.
Yep, no worries, Steve. Good. Look, I'll probably touch base with you when I get the when the Dew Shield finally arrives, and